Hey guys, welcome back. This is Tarun again, welcoming you back to another fitness video. So I get these questions from a lot of guys saying that Tarun, you only talk about weight loss, you only talk about transformations, you only talk about nutrition. I'm like, hey, but that is exactly what fitness is all about, isn't it? So they say, why don't you talk about ectomorphs? Why don't you talk about, bodybuilders? Why don't you talk about, how we can actually gain more muscles and stuff? So guys, here it is. This is exactly what this video is about. So the other day, this YouTube follower of mine asked me this question that, Tarun, is it possible for me to become a bodybuilder without actually getting into or without actually taking any steroids? Because he says that I'm genetically blessed. I mean, I haven't seen his picture. He said I'm genetically blessed, I have a decent muscle mass and stuff like that. Can I become a bodybuilder? See, it's a very good question and you already know the answer. But if you ask me, do you really have to take supplements to be a good bodybuilder? The answer to that question is yes. Why yes? Because think about it, when you are competing with 10, 15, 20 other people, they're all juiced up. They have that edge, and what is that edge that steroids actually give you? They help you with better recovery, they help you pack on muscle easily, but I'm not saying they don't work hard. They work probably 10 times more hard than anyone else. But that does give them the extra edge. Because naturally you will achieve that look, but to get to that bodybuilding level, it may be very, very challenging for you to match up to that level. So that's why it becomes very important, as I say, the occupational hazard for bodybuilders, to actually get into steroids. Not everybody wants to do it, but it's just that when they see 10 other guys all juiced up, all jacked up on steroids, they have to do it because at the end of the day, it's about winning that title, right? And people and bodybuilders especially, they really don't care, even if it even costs them their health, which is okay, so long they win it. You'll have many guys talking about it. The other day I was watching Rich Piana's interview, because he's very active on social media. I follow him on YouTube too. He also said the same thing that, back in the days when he was trying to compete, all that mattered to him was just to kind of get big, and he would pretty much take everything that he could get his hands on. That is exactly the story of a bodybuilder. To get bigger, to be more muscular, to pack on more muscle, you will take and abuse everything that you want to, or you will have your access. It's just about getting out there, man, and you will. It's not that you would want to, but when you see people around you doing it, you'll be like, hey, I got to do it. I got to beat them. To be the best, I got to beat the best. So that's why a bodybuilding game gets very dirty, because the every second guy is all juiced up. Even if you want to stay natural, you will not be able to. And the same is exactly happening in a social gym environment, fitness environment. When you're working out in a gym and you see the other guy, all juiced up and getting results, it prompts teenagers and youngsters to get into it. And that's where the problem lies. Because bodybuilder, when he is trying to pack on muscle, he exactly knows the consequences of abusing steroids. But a youngster who's just influenced by some guy's aesthetics and gets into steroids abuse without actually knowing the repercussion and ramifications of any drug, obviously it's bound to have side effect. It will boomerang on you because you're actually injecting something which you have no clue of. Now think about it, like, and you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised that these days 80 to 90% of the youngsters who go to the gym are thinking or are taking steroids. If people are not, they're thinking about it, so that they're looking at somebody who can guide them. That's why I get many questions from people asking me, Tarun, can you please recommend me which cycle is the best? Can you please tell me which cycle will have minimum side effects? And my response to them is, guys, this is a bloody dirty road. This is the road you can only follow if bodybuilding is your profession and it's an occupational hazard. If fitness is a profession where you get to make money from your body, or it's films, or it's modeling, something to do where exactly you're going to, your body will be, your bread and butter. But if you are a social guy, a gymmer, or somebody who just wants to look good, steroids certainly not the way to go about it, right? So coming back to his question that, can you become a bodybuilder without taking steroids? The answer is no, clear cut, no. you'll start looking like one, but to actually win it, man, you gotta take it. Sorry man if I disappointed you. Now that I've answered your question, what exactly can you do to become like a bodybuilder? When I say bodybuilder, I don't mean that bulky look, I mean to pack on more muscle. How can you pack on more muscles? I'm talking about here ectomorphs, who have a tough time gaining weight. What can they actually do, or anybody for that matter can do, to actually get more muscles? And I've talked about it, and I'm going to say this again but a little differently. Number one, you've got to increase your workout intensity. You can't be a guy who go to the gym and lifting sissy weights. You got to friggin' train heavy no matter what. And how can you train heavy? When you bloody eat. If you eat like a pansy, if you eat food, like I know this guy, he's super ripped, very lean guy, super ripped, but he eats like a pansy, man. When I say pansy, his diet is probably even less than a girl, what a girl would eat to survive. Is that a life? Probably not. Can he pack on muscle? No, but yes, to an outside world, he has a six-pack, he looks pretty ripped, but to me, he looks like a rickshawala, man. That's not the body you would want. You want to pack on more muscles, and the best way to pack on muscle is to train hard. And I always say this to people, that, if while training, you have energy left, in that particular set, that means you didn't do your set right. Either the weight was too light or your intensity wasn't good enough. So these are some of the things that you really need to take care of. You got to eat heavy, you got to train heavy, and you got to sleep well, man. This is something, the most underrated point that people never talk about, sleeping. But I'll tell you something. This guy, Dr. Squat, he's called Dr. Hatsfield too, so I'm his follower too. I read a lot of his books, and I've read some of his books. So he was talking about that, how sleep is more important than actually training and eating. So if you sleep for 8 hours, let's say between 6 to 8 hours, and even if you compromise or say don't give your 100% to training, let's say you give 80%, 90%, or you give 60 to 70% to your diet because you get to cheat a lot, because you have a life, you go out socially, but your sleep is 10 on 10, you're sleeping 8 hours a day, nighttime, chances of you getting your results are a lot higher vis-a-vis if you're following training 100% to the T, if you're following diet 100% to the T. But if your sleeping is about 40 to 50%, you can't get your sound sleep, man, you will not get anywhere closer to your goal, because sleeping is the time when you will actually grow muscles, is the time when you actually gain muscle. Body, we're not gaining muscle just by talking or going to the gym. That's wear and tear, guys. That's like you're breaking your muscle. You're going through that, that mechanic work. The actual repairing happens when you sleep. That's the time when your muscles grow. And if you want to compromise on your growth, the worst you can do is not sleeping, or not sleeping enough. This is something that you really need to get clarity on, that no matter what, if you see guys who are disciplined, they always have a thumb rule that we're going to sleep, not only sleep on time, but we're going to have enough sleep. It becomes very, very important, guys. Another thing that I would want to share with all the ectomorphs, guys, if you really want to pack on muscles, don't spend too much time in the gym. Don't friggin' socialize. I've always told you this, and I'm going to tell you this again. This is one of the biggest muscle hack anybody will ever tell you, that a guy who wants to pack on muscle only needs to train for 45 minutes with super heavy weights. That's all there is to it. If you go back to Arnold of the world, if you go back to Louis Ferrigno of the world, back in 60s and 70s, all they did, cardio didn't even exist back then, man. All they did was just lift heavy weights. If you don't believe me, see Pumping Iron. See all these movies, you'll see. Do you see Arnold running on a treadmill? Probably not, because you really don't need to do cardio to minimize body fat if your training is good. And the guys who already are on a low body fat percentage, the only way they can pack on muscle is by training heavy. So I really don't get when people say, oh, we don't know how to pack on muscle. If you don't eat, obviously you can't pack on muscle. If you don't sleep right, you don't pack on muscle. And if you don't train like a man, which is heavy, you can never pack on muscle, guys. So if you want to become a guy who's loaded, who's got all the muscles at the right spot, get these 3 points in place. Eat right, train right, and sleep tight. These are the only things that you really need to pack on muscle. Yes, you may not look like a bodybuilder, because to become a bodybuilder you need to inject steroids, but you will definitely become a guy, who everybody would want to be like, barring competitions. So that is something that you should always eye for. People ask me, so Tarun, if everybody is on steroids, who do we actually idolize? You should idolize yourself. It's you versus you. The battle should be every day you should look better. Every day you look yourself in the mirror that, you know what, I'm getting better by the day. That should be a competition. Not that I want to look like Lazar Angelov, I want to look like Sergey Constant. No, it's you versus you. It's your own bloody genetics that you're fighting against, not someone else. So just fight against yourself, fight against your own genetics, man. That's what you need. You versus you. That's your benchmark, that's your goal, getting better every day. So I hope this answers your question. Any one of you who have any questions around this, feel free to reach out to me either on my YouTube, WhatsApp, or Facebook channel, and I'll be very happy to guide you and take this discussion forward. So until we meet again, peace.